Happy Tuesday, everybody. Danny and Dusty with you. How's everybody doing this Tuesday?
It's a great Tuesday.
I've been looking at the weather. Guys,
They're making us work for it.
second spring is almost here.
They're making us work for it. Absolutely craptacular this morning, and I'm like, so the nice
It's
weather's
good.
coming, but we have to suffer.
Yeah.
You have to pay your penance.
It's the ramp up.
But
the ramp up.
it's
Second spring is almost here.
4 days of 70 degrees.
I got 3 and then a 69.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Starting tomorrow, the rain stops. And then it's just, we have beautiful Oregon weather. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
It's 70
Just
degrees
ramps up, just.
for St. Patrick's Day. That's a problem.
That is, the amateurs are going to be in full force. When is that? When's St. Patrick's?
I think it's Saturday.
Saturday.
Is that
it's
what the
a
17th
Saturday?
is? Or no, Sunday.
Sunday, 17th.
Okay,
But it
well,
was 17th.
all right. It's good that we can stop them on
Yeah.
it being a Sunday. We'll tamper a little bit down.
Young Buck Will Ortner was in here earlier talking about St. Patty's Day coming up, and I said that as a former bartender, that's one of the amateur
It's
holidays.
a horrible day to be a bartender.
It's St. Patrick's Day. You got your Fat Tuesday and like New Year's. They're all amateur night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Day before Thanksgiving as well.
Mhm.
That is a major drinking day.
Yes.
Also an amateur hour.
Yeah, we used to all go hit the Dublin pub.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right there at Dysfunction Junction.
Yep.
Where
Malfunction Junction.
where they have like 8 roads meeting.
Yes.
Who thought that was the play?
Yeah, I don't know.
Who went there and was like, you know what?
Yeah.
This. Because every time people complain about like 217 or I-584, I'm like,
And deservedly so.
have you guys been down Beaverton Hillsdale Highway?
It's called Six Corners.
It
Because
is
there's
awful.
6 corners.
Yeah. It's terrible to drive around.
It is the worst. It's
and then it's like,
awful.
you know, it's not a bad idea having a high school right down the road from it, because this won't have awful traffic right after when school gets out.
The best
It's
part-
terrible.
The best part about it is if you're in one of the middle lanes and you're watching somebody like juggle their life while trying to figure out which lane turns into which lane,
Yeah.
and you're just like, you've never been here before. Let's watch how this turns out. And it's usually brakes screeching, horns going off.
That's one
Lot of
thing that
panic.
Waze has really hampered is people's ability just to drive.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I first started driving, we were in the old MapQuest days. You know, I was at the tail end of
Actual maps?
What? No, yeah, it was the book. What
Yeah,
was the book?
Thomas Guide.
Thomas Guide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you had
Thomas
it in
Guide.
the back of your seat.
You had the Thomas Guide, and then it was like, you know what? I'll MapQuest it, and I'll sit there with like 8 pages of directions.
That's cute. You
Stapled
had
together.
internet when you needed that.
Yeah. Well, that was after.
I'm older.
I was Thomas Guide, and then
Yeah.
went directly into.
And you had
but
to-
that made you learn.
You had to guess
You had
on
to-
Thomas Guide. You're like, I think I'm here.
Yeah, but you had to memorize your map quests
Yep.
before the drive,
Yeah.
because if you tried to read that in real time, you're dead.
Yeah.
Dead.
Well,
'Cause
because
it
let's
was-
face it, you can't read that and go through your disc logic thing.
Yes,
No,
that
at the
is
same
true.
time.
That is true. That's a great point, Rust. I mean, the case logic, but always knowing, like, hey, no. You want go to like
Yeah,
page 5.
you gotta go back 2
Go to
pages.
page 5. Go to page 5, and you got to make sure they're in the order so you know where they're at. And it got complicated.
It did.
It got complicated.
Were you in alphabetical one, or were you in the one you listened to the most order?
I went through phases.
Yeah, I was. I had like genre. It was by genre.
Okay, and of
It was
course
by genre.
You did pull the insert of the CD out and put it in your case logic, right?
No.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Oh,
straight
I did,
CD.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
It was sitting right
Oh.
behind the
Straight
disc in
CD.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a straight CD.
That way it looked like it just like all of the CDs.
Yeah,
and it
I
was
mean-
easier to identify.
Look, by college, most of them were burned anyways.
That's
So
true.
it's just
Fair.
like you just had to go by the name of the album, you know, like Dusty's Boner Jams.
Yep.
That was Call Me Dragon. That was one of them. There was a lot. There was a lot of them that
Booze,
you had to
Booze
go.
Cruise. Booze Cruise was one.
That was one for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had my own names,
Yeah.
and I knew, and they're like, "What are we listening to?" I'm like, "Don't worry
Shut
about
up
it.
and listen.
Don't worry about what like blue snake dragon means.
Hmm.
Just put it in the fleshy weight. That's right. You're not gonna want to know
And then it hits.
what most of these songs are, but I have an eclectic taste. So I mean, I had no problem on a one burnt CD going from, rap to country to a little bit of rock. It just whatever
Yeah.
the mood was. But I had my burned CDs in the order where my brain was working that day, and I would throw them in. You know?
Shout out the days of LimeWire.
Yeah, like Dusty Farts, oldies. That one works
It's like
because
a
it was
fart
like
after a Chinese buffet. Can't
Yeah.
trust them.
Yep. Like Dusty Farts was these are Dusty's old fart songs. So I would have my oldies. I'd have my Beach Boys.
See, break stuff turned into kill stuff.
Oh, with you, weird.
Yeah.
It's just totally shocking.
The break
I didn't
stuff
see that
album turned
coming.
into kill stuff album.
I didn't see that coming at all. But the Case Logic,
yeah.
it was everybody had their own system.
Yes.
It was important.
Yeah, sometimes I went alphabetical. Sometimes I went by, the ranking,
Oh,
if you,
Yeah.
my own personal ranking.
Yes.
But yeah. Not like,
of course you did.
not Billboard charts or anything like that.
Yeah,
But
no,
You didn't
'cause
listen to Casey Kasem on the weekend and then just be like, nope, got to change.
That actually might have been kind of cool. Though,
Up
to be
7
honest.
spots from last week.
Yeah. Before you switch it out. See, I could never do the alphabetical because I couldn't have I think this is kind of how I justified it. Was in my own head, I had my own argument, which it explains a lot. But I was like, well, do I do it by band or artist, or do I do it by album name? And exactly. And it came about because of Outkast and Aquemini. Because it was Outkast, it's deeper in the album. But if it's Aquemini, right at the front.
Okay.
See?
I don't know what that is.
So then I just went, screw it. I'm just going to do it by the ones I like.
Yeah. See, just go by feel.
Yeah.
Everybody had their own feel, and that's why it was important. You knew what page you had to go to. Just go to like page 3. Start at page 3. We'll go from there.
Yep.
Yeah. And Navigator was a very important role back
It
then.
was. You had to trust.
It was a big. It was a.
They actually helped you
honor.
get to where you got to and control the tunes.
Yeah, you were Navigator and in charge of radio. You know,
Navigator DJ.
that was it. And the
And if
people in the back need to just shut up.
Yep.
The aux cord is the worst thing that has happened
Yes.
to driving because people in the back want the aux cord. That's not your job. Stay in your
Listen,
lane.
You're sitting B back there for a reason, all right?
Because nobody trusts you or your music taste.
Yeah. We had this text coming in on the Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. Started as a UPS driver in 2006. Learned all the routes via the Thomas Guide. Dude, see? You had to learn. You had to know your streets. You had to know where you are. Kids these days.
Kids these days.
Kids these days.
They don't know how easy they got it.
You think they can read a map?
No.
Like if you put like an average kid out there with the Thomas Guide and said,
No.
go,
No.
there's like a 0% chance they get there, right?
No.
I feel like they're holding it up like David Spade and Tommy Boy and be like, okay, well, moron is here.
Finding where they currently are would be the biggest problem. Like, I feel like they're smart enough to figure out how maps work. But, like, being like, I am here now, they don't know that.
No.
No.
Street, street names, highways.
We have a
no.
directionally challenged world. Directionally challenged world.
I mean, you can limit it to just us though.
Yeah, I will.
America.
Okay. All right. Well, we got a lot of sport that we need to get to. Football continues to football. We got some basketball that we need to get to. Because I came out of that Blazer game not thinking anything about the Blazers,
No,
but a lot about the Celtics.
indeed.
Is that the worst, best team ever?
There's a lot going on there.
Well, because they're lapping the whole Eastern Conference.
They're lapping the NBA right now.
And then,
like it's
and
crazy.
statistically, they're doing crazy stuff. But then you look and you watch and you go, what the hell is happening here?
They're 5 games up on the rest of the NBA right now.
Yeah.
They just got their 50th win of the year.
And 8.5 games
And
up
get-
on the Eastern Conference.
And guess what? They have the easiest schedule remaining in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
The easiest schedule remaining in the entire NBA is a team that is 50-14 right now.
So what do we think? Second round exit?
Yes. Yeah. Hell,
About that.
what's going to happen is the Miami Heat are going to win the play-in. They're going to get them in the first round, or they're going to lose their first game of the play-in. They're going to win the second and third game, and then they're going to end up playing them.
Emo Jimmy's going to show up again.
They're going to get bounced by the Heat in the first round of the playoffs.
Goodness.
You can see it happening, can't you?
Yeah.
We're in that world.
Yeah.
We are in that world right now.
No faith in Joe Mazzulla.
No. Maybe if he watches The Town a few more times this
Yeah.
week. Psycho move.
Like, how could that be anyone's favorite movie?
Yeah, I'm not gonna shame anybody's favorite movie, but
I
that's
am.
a long movie to be
yeah,
like your
it's-
favorite
it's-
movie.
It's
you
a
know?
bad favorite movie.
To watch all the time.
It's a bad favorite movie.
I mean,
Like Godfather's a long movie. It's not a bad favorite movie.
no.
That is a long movie.
But it's my point. Just because it's long,
And I learned yesterday from Jeff Russ, they never mention the mafia.
Nope. They don't say the word.
Don't say the word.
they say
And
mom.
by the way, the town, not that, it's 2 hours, 5 minutes. That's not that
That's
long.
not that long.
no, it just feels long because it's not that good.
All right. Damn. Didn't it?
But
Didn't it win?
Blake
some
Lively.
Academy Awards? I love Blake Lively.
I mean, yes.
Yeah. Ryan Reynolds,
Let me
he's a
look-
lucky man.
Again, it's not a bad movie, but
Okay.
it can't be your favorite movie,
No.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's when you look at him, you're like, come on.
Come on.
I knew he was struggling for like a Boston-centric movie, but
He
like to
is
appeal. but
only
it's like,
34, though.
But
That
I'll-
is shocking, too, how
yeah,
young he is.
That's not really surprising.
So, yeah, he's like, how do I relate to Boston?
Yeah.
The town.
The town.
The town.
What was the other one?
Favorite band's Dropkick Murphys.
Or
Yeah.
That'd be a better one.
Goodwill
Heat?
Hunting. Goodwill Hunting.
Yeah.
That's my favorite movie.
There you
I
go.
love Goodwill Hunting.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Love that. It's a weird favorite movie. That's why I don't kink shame
See,
people's
no, I
favorite
don't
movies.
think so. I think
love
that
that
is a
movie.
far more acceptable favorite movie than
Yeah.
The Town.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, how
What's
do you like
the?
them
Isn't
apples?
the one with Jack Nicholson where he's the mob boss?
The Departed?
yeah,
Departed.
Departed Boston, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a more acceptable
Yeah.
Boston-centric movie.
Don't they throw a guy off a top building in that one?
Something like
I
that.
get my mob movies mixed up.
I haven't watched that one for a while, too.
You got The Town.
They all
The
came out at the
Departed,
same time.
And The Irishman.
Yeah.
The Irishman is really long. I had
Yes.
to two-part that bad boy.
Yeah.
Is that Boston too?
I don't think so, but I lump all of them together.
Yeah.
I mean, they all are like the
But if
same
you're
movie
trying to
me.
like no, really, I'm Boston. Look at me. Like the Departed's a much better movie.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Well, we got to get this. We got to get this show going because I didn't even get to my big show prep I did this morning. Yeah. I did. I spent far too much time reading about what's going on with Kate Middleton.
You know what? Screw it. Let's get to that.
No, we can't do it now.
Why?
We're already late. We have to carve out some time for this.
I want to know.
I've got answers.
I want to know because
Well, I don't have answers, but I know what the internet is saying.
that's what I want to know because I've
Yeah.
seen her name pop up and I'm like, I don't care enough.
Okay.
I think all I saw was that people are pissed because she edited a photo or something.
No, that's right. That's right. Photoshop has been used. People are saying it may be AI because she's dead. I don't think she's dead. We're not
I feel like
dead.
we would have heard about that.
But then they're like, royal family would never tell you. It's like, well,
Well, we
I
all
think
knew
they
when.
would.
Well, I mean,
we
we
all
did-
knew
we-
when Diana.
I would say
died.
we
pretty
kind
sure
of
they would.
I would say we kind of knew
it's kind of a big deal when any of them die.
Right.
You know, we kind of
Because-
find that whole
because
thing out.
there's a power grab
But we got we have a ton
of
of,
sweet Kate Middleton talk.
tinfoil hats. They are on. Yeah. 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 I mean, everything from she's gotten a Brazilian butt lift.
Is this a tinfoil Tuesday?
And, yeah, it's all the way to that to Prince William maybe like killed a family member. Like, I don't know what people in Britain do with their free time, but it's the same as America.
Was he hanging out with Kendall Roy driving the car off the
Dude,
bridge?
it is.
All right.
The conspiracy theories are wild, and I don't think any of them are true. But we can break them down a little bit later.
All right.
All right. Okay. Yeah, we'll sport next, though, because I think this is important. We're 24 hours into free agency in the NFL. There's seemingly more movement than ever before.
It's a lot.
It is wild to see how much movement we have seen in the first 24 hours.
A lot of
free
money
agency.
out there.
Which moves are the biggest? Because we had a couple more big ones come down the pipeline since we last had the show. It's a question that I have for you that we'll get to next. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. agency is humming right along as the Jeff Russ' favorite term, the legal tampering period, is well underway. Guys can... What?
I hate you.
Yeah. It is tomorrow when they can start actually signing these contracts that are being agreed upon. But we have a ton of movement at some interesting positions, too. We've seen running backs going off the board left and right in some really big signings. Josh Jacobs to Green Bay. You had Saquon Barkley go to the Eagles yesterday. Today we get Derrick Henry going to the Baltimore Ravens. You got Joe Mixon just signed with the Houston Texans today. Traded to the Houston Texans because they were going to release him. And that was kind of a messed up move that both the Packers and the Bengals did. The Packers agreed to terms with Josh Jacobs, and then after kind of all the movement is going on and guys are sorting out their future destinations, they just release Aaron Jones and are like, deuces. He goes to Minnesota. He goes in division and goes double barrel. F you, I'm out. And
call
then
that pulling a Saquon.
they did that to Joe Mixon as well. Joe Mixon, they go sign a running back, and then Joe Mixon, you're all of a sudden on the outs, go find somewhere else to play after everybody else gets their money. But we've seen a ton of big-name running backs moving. And whether it's, guys who the Dallas Cowboys, they get 1 year of Tony Pollard as a workhorse back, he gone. We're seeing big names at the running back position. The guard position has been getting a ton of money. And we're seeing a lot of guys, whether it's Eric Armstead, Patrick Queen just went from Baltimore to Pittsburgh today as a free agent. And then quarterbacks. How rarely do we see guys like Kirk Cousins and Russell Wilson shake up the market in the same year? Quarterbacks usually never hit the market, and we had 2 this season do it.
We talked about this, I want to say a couple months ago, about kind of forecasting what this offseason was going to look like. And the idea of, the frequency with which quarterbacks hit the market because of the impact it can have and how that shakes everything out. But the reasoning why that doesn't happen. The contract structures, which you're seeing the massive penalties the Broncos were willing to eat right now for Russell Wilson. I always wondered, would a team, is there a level you can get to where a team's like, yeah, it's just too much? And the answer is no.
Yeah, and I think that where this is all coming down to is that in the NFL, it is relatively quick to turn things around. So you take that short-term penalty of whether it's $85 million of Russell Wilson, or it is the Minnesota Vikings going, wait, we went through how many years of Kirk Cousins knowing how far he can take us, and we just kept doing it over and over again? We'll let somebody else go through that.
And we also don't have a replacement plan.
And
and it's amazing.
Yeah, they do. Sam Darnold, baby.
It's amazing how there's a $179 million difference in the deals between Kirkers and Russ.
Yeah.
God, just think how much you have to suck as a human being because as a football player, it's not that different.
No, it's not.
It's not.
But I think what teams are doing now is saying, all right, if we have a plan in place and we know it's not working now, we'll pull the ripcord. And we know that it can be a quicker turnaround because we can get, for Denver, we're going to have 2 years that it's going to be tough. But after those 2 years, our books are clean and we can, if we have our faith in our draft process, you can turn things around in relatively short order, especially with the cap going up as much as it has been lately.
Which maybe the Broncos shouldn't have faith in their drafting process because they've sucked at it.
They haven't been great.
It's been really rough. And there's a difference. Yeah, they did get one. Everybody gets one.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Unless you're the Raiders and Mike Mayock.
Yeah, well, you can, but the thing is that you can turn it around quickly. You can also drive it in the side of the mountain and not be good at all. But I think what we're seeing in the NFL especially is the loyalty that they claim that they had before.
Oh, it's even
they're
less now.
actually just living the life of, you want to see what no loyalty is? We'll show you what it is because we can turn things around in relatively short order.
I think there's also a difference between pulling the ripcord and getting the parachute and pulling the ripcord and getting an anvil. And that's what the Panthers have. You and I talked about this off air about the idea of the Panthers and whether or not that they can be back sooner. I don't think they can. I think it's going to take them 5 years to be relevant.
We'll get to that because that's a whole thing, right?
But as I'm saying, like there's a
are-
possibility to take the shortcut through hell, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely levels and rungs to hell, and the Panthers are at the bottom of it.
And I think what franchises are also saying is that if you want to get to the top, moves on the margins don't do it anymore. I mean, they don't. For teams like Kansas City, yeah, moves on the margins, they work.
But once you're there, it's fine.
San Francisco, moves on the margins, those work for you. But for 90% of the NFL, you can't move on the margins anymore, which is keeping your guys and overpaying for a guy to continue to stay there or holding on to a guy for a little bit longer when he's getting older. But what we do see now, and I think that this is the fascinating part of free agency, which makes some of these teams making head-scratching moves, and the other ones you're going, that is really smart. A Saquon Barkley going to Philly. I think that is a fantastic move because they're sitting there and they're going, all right, we need to load up. And we know we can do it now. This is a player in a position where it is getting devalued with every single year. We're going to pay him what he wants because we have the wiggle room to do it. We know that the draft, and that's a team that drafts really damn well.
Really good.
And their positioning that they are in this year's draft is right where they need to be. If they're at 22 in the first round, they'll be able to get one of those top 3 centers. They have a big hole to fill. If not, they're going to be in a great position to draft potentially a Fletcher Cox replacement there. They've got the framework to say, all right, we're going to make these moves with these
X,
guys
then
older
Y.
in longer in the tooth. Derrick Henry to the Baltimore Ravens. I got questions about that because scheme fit, it's a little bit less of a slam dunk than
Not
Saquon
square peg
Barkley.
round hole, but it's not fitting either.
No, he's a tremendous back, and I think what it may be a signal of is Todd Monken is going to change what they do schematically. Because if you look at what Derrick Henry's best years as a running back have been, and his most consistent years, and really through the entirety of his career, but when he had Arthur Smith, they were about 70 to 75% zone scheme. And so you're getting to the outside, you don't have that defined hole. It is put your foot in the ground, find that crease and go. And he is north-south, downhill runner, and with as big, strong, and fast as he is, it makes him very dangerous. What you look at what Monken did in Baltimore this past year, it was a majority of gap scheme, which means you're a man on a man. It's not that fluidity. It's not they do run a lot of counter, but at the same time, it's a different running style that you're going to have Derrick Henry asked to do. And it goes from like 70% zone for Derrick Henry to about 40% zone running scheme.
Big difference.
And most of the zone runs that the Baltimore Ravens had last year were designed for Lamar Jackson. So it's like their running backs were running a ton of power, a ton of counter, and that is going to be either a wholesale change to what Derrick Henry does. What I think it's going to be, because Monken, when he was an offensive coordinator in Tampa before, they ran a lot more zone than they did this past year. I think that's what we're going to kind of go back to. But on the surface, it's a full-sale change from Derrick Henry, and it is a square peg in a round hole right now. Saquon Barkley, run scheme in Philly and New York, relatively the same. It'll be an easy transition for him right there. But we have all of these moves that have been, like, those good teams are getting great right now. And I look at it and I'm sitting there and Kirk Cousins is getting a ton of the love for, the best move in free agency. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm sitting here and I'm looking with all of these names. Josh Jacobs to Green Bay, Saquon Barkley to Philly. I mean, these are teams that were already good and they're emphasizing where they needed to improve the most.
Yeah, no, there's a lot there to work with, and I still think that there's the biggest questions I think are going to be the additions that we hear. We just got done talking about how the margins don't matter. The margins that you look at the free agents that are left. My God, you get through the list and you're like, well, there's still a truckload of wide receivers out there. There's still Tyron Smith out there. There's still Trent Brown out there. Like you've got some of the best tackles in the game that are still out there. So you've got these, moves on the margin, so to speak, but you also have absolute dudes. You still got some of the best guards in football that are out there in the market. And then you go back and you look at the cornerback and safety market, and there's still 25, 30 impact guys at the back end of defenses that are out there and available. And then you've got teams like the Cowboys who the only thing they've done is sign their long snapper.
The only team in the NFL, the only one that did not make a move in the first day of free agency was the team whose owner said, we are all in this offseason.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. The only one without a transaction. They felt the pressure today, so they re-signed their long snapper. Way to go, guys. Way to go, guys. I think, low-key, one team that they took a huge hit is Miami.
Yeah, they those financial transactions that they had to make for roster balance, it's tough.
The one team, though, that it benefited from what Miami's going through, and they lose Kirk Cousins, but you get Andrew Van Ginkel from Miami. They went out, they got Jonathan Grenard from the Houston Texans, which that's more of a roll of the dice because he pops in the year that DeMeco Ryans shows up.
Which is interesting because you have Daniil Hunter right there who had 16 sacks for you last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's weird, right? To have the guy in-house who fits, who's productive, and to go get the guy who was in another scheme.
Well, and then they went and they got Blake Cashman from Houston as well, who had a great year under DeMeco Ryans, and then you're like, okay. Their defense, though, they improved the three places that they had their big holes.
Sure.
Offensively, though, they replaced Kirk Cousins with Sam Darnold, which everybody's like, that's a massive drop-off. I don't know how much of a drop-off that's going to be.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
I'm going to be quite honest. Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson.
We get to put it to the test.
And TJ Hawkinson.
We get to put it to the test.
And that is the fun part, is we get to see it.
We get to see, okay, here's a legitimate replacement level quarterback in Sam Darnold, who's a likely career backup patch starter. If he puts up 4,200 yards and 28 touchdowns, everybody's going to look at Kirk and just squint at him like, you son of a.
But this all goes, like, what happens if Justin Jefferson takes a look around and is like, get me the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Because he has every right in the world to do that at this point. I mean, that is a massive roll of the dice. Right now, though, I'm going my favorite move so far. It's Saquon to the Eagles.
I like it just because of the pettiness.
I like that part of it, but I think he is going to be
he's also multiple, too.
Yeah, he's multiple. He can alleviate a lot of the stress off of Jalen Hurts. They need to figure out their offensive line, especially with Jason Kelce being gone, and that is a massive question mark. But I go back and I'm like, I look at their history though. Remember, they signed DeMeco Ryans before. They re-signed LaShawn McCoy. They've struck out with running backs time and time again. They've gotten on the cheap. They're guys that they go and they get off the bargain bin, whether it's DeAndre Swift or guys like Darren Sproles, right? They've hit on those guys, but the high-profile signees at running back especially, they have not worked out for Philly. And I'm going to be fascinated to see the Saquon fit. I think that it works, though, with Saquon in Philadelphia. I also like Josh Jacobs in Green Bay. I think Jordan Love. Matt LaFleur went and got Jordan Love a little safety blanket there.
Yeah, no, and now I'm sitting here looking at the Raiders like, do you want a running back?
Yeah. No.
Because apparently the answer is no.
No, they don't.
Because
they don't.
There's been about 15 that have signed, and the Raiders weren't one of them.
I also agree with this text, Vancouver Ford text line. My favorite move is KC re-signing Chris Jones. Yeah, dude. Kansas City, retaining your own guys.
Especially
I'm talking
Super Bowl.
player movement.
Yeah.
Retaining your own guys. That has been the biggest key here because we've seen a lot of teams, whether it's, KC with Chris Jones or Jalen Johnson in Chicago. Like we've seen a lot of these guys just kind of stay home and Brett Veach and what he's doing in Kansas City is masterful with the salary cap and being able to find guys that are willing to stay. It's incredible.
And you saw what Josh Allen did yesterday, right?
No.
He restructured.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. So they're converting. They're going to get like 16 million.
You got to.
Yeah. So, but that's after talking about losing your own guys. That's after they released Poyer, Neal, Morse, Hines, Hardy, and Tre'Davious White.
Hot damn.
That is a lot of dudes to release. Very much like the Miami Dolphins. That AFC East had a nice little purge of talent.
Yes, he is. Yes, it is. It has. It was.
There you go.
Hey, we do have a new team that is taking over the mantle. You mentioned them earlier. We have a new poorest run franchise in the NFL, and it's not
Indeed.
particularly close. These questions of what is going on are getting even deeper. Next on The Fan.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on The Fan, the Trailblazers off tonight after falling to the league best Celtics last night. Game 5 of the 6-game homestand tomorrow against the Atlanta Hawks. The Blazers are 18-46 on the season, the 5th worst record in the league. The Orlando Magic announced they've signed head coach Jamal Mosley to a 4-year extension through the 2027-28 season. In the NFL, the Ravens signing running back Derrick Henry to a 2-year, $16 million deal, could be worth up to $20 million. The Commanders and Marcus Mariota have agreed to a 1-year, $6 million deal. That could reach $10 million with incentives. The Vikings signing former Packers running back Aaron Jones, 1 year, $7 million. Bengals trading running back Joe Mixon to the Texans for an undisclosed draft pick. The Steelers signing former Ravens linebacker Patrick Queen to a 3-year, $41 million deal. Browns close to a deal to add quarterback Jameis Winston to back up Deshaun Watson. The Giants signing former Seahawks quarterback Drew Lock to a 1-year deal worth up to $5 million. And the Bears and tight end Gerald Everett, they've agreed to a 2-year deal that could be worth up to $14 million. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Why choose a sleep?
DJ Trombone over there, old Rusty himself, is he's at it again. Eric Carmen.
Eric Carmen, rest in peace.
Eric Carmen jams today. We had the Raspberries in segment 1.
Yeah. So all Eric Carmen, all raspberries all day.
Oh,
Screw
no
you
way.
guys, I'm going home. Oh, not that Eric Carmen.
You went 80s like yacht rocky, huh? Oh, just finding a reason.
I know, weird, right?
Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
Super weird. All right, there's a fan base that needs a little bit of a love song right now.
Do they need a love song, or I think we need to kick in Metal Monday again.
No, I don't think anybody needs that.
Yeah, we do.
No.
Everybody needs metal.
The Carolina Panthers are the worst run franchise in football right now.
Football?
They have
Sports.
No. Don't even put that. No. It's still the A's. Don't even. No. Don't. Don't
raising,
do this.
They're raising
No.
ticket prices on a team that was
The
one of the
Oakland
worst
A's is all I have to say, Danny.
All right, the second worst team in sports.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there now.
Like, genuinely, they're on that level. That's how bad they are, on and off the field.
But here's the thing with Carolina is that this is such a short term. Like, I'll still put the Pittsburgh Pirates above them. I'll still put the. I'm not going to put the Knicks there yet. I'm not.
No,
gonna put the Knicks
Dolan's
there.
gotten out of his way.
I'm not going to put the Knicks there yet. But the Detroit Pistons, their GM just told one of the fans, "You're lucky I don't beat your at a
Backside.
game."
Yeah.
Just like 2 nights ago, he did that.
Yeah,
Dave Tepper, yeah, he's throwing drinks on fans. He's right in there. But let's not kid ourselves. The Detroit Pistons have been doing this for several years now. We've only got like 2 years of true ineptitude.
Yeah, but the
from
Pistons,
the Carolina
if you
Panthers.
squint, you can see something. The Panthers, you can't see anything.
I'll believe that squint when I see it from Detroit.
Again,
Yeah.
but if you squint, there's something there.
Yeah.
The Panthers, I can't recall an NFL roster
But give me more years.
bereft of talent than this team.
Well, they're at it again, especially after what happened yesterday.
Unbelievable.
They trade Brian Burns, who they just franchise tagged, to the
For
New York Giants
peanuts.
for a second round and a 5th round pick. Brian Burns is now a New York Giant, and he gets a big payday. He gets a 5-year, $141 million deal, which is getting the bag. But the Giants actually worked it out pretty well with the way their cap is right now. It's very front loaded, and so the back end of it, they're going to be in the clear after like year 2. They can walk away from it if it doesn't work out. Which, go ahead, a head scratching move in that like they're pushing their chips in the middle of the table over the next 2 years when you're like.
Your
I don't
offense
think you're a
is
contender.
one of the worst outside of the Panthers. I was debating this back and forth with our guy Cooley, our sales director, going over because he's a big Giants fan. And I'm like, man, I don't like pushing draft capital in because at the time it sounded like it was going to be 2 seconds and then some for Burns. And I was like, look, I get Burns is great. He's under 26, all those things. But I'm like, if you're the Giants, you have 37 holes on your team, of which your defensive front is not one of them.
Well, you're not going to get anybody in that second round better than Brian Burns. Because here's the other thing, too, that they did. They get Seattle's second round pick in the Leonard Williams trade, which, by the way, Seattle just made it official. Leonard Williams is re-signing with the
Back
Seahawks.
to the Sea Chickens.
So they get Seattle's second round pick. So by giving up a second round pick, they don't really give up anything. It was a freebie anyways. So you give up a second and a 5th, and there was a report you mentioned yesterday that Brian Burns last year, 2 first-round picks.
And the
were
year
offered.
before was 2 firsts and a second.
They also didn't get – they got nothing for the value of Christian McCaffrey either.
No.
So this is where I go, now you're the most dysfunctional, disorganized team in the NFL because you had your 2 best players in your franchise, since Cam Newton.
Yeah.
You have let both of them go
For nothing.
for nothing.
And it's not like it was like, oh, if you
Nothing.
squint, those guys are really good. Christian McCaffrey's a Hall of Famer.
Christian McCaffrey is one of the best running backs in the NFL. And he is the best weapon in the NFL.
Yes, he's a Hall of Famer. That's who he is. Brian Burns, he's on that path.
Well, the New York Giants did not bat an eye at the fact that they made him the second highest paid defensive end ever.
Yes.
So-
So you're looking at the talent for talent, and then they overpay to move up to get Bryce Young, and they take Bryce Young the compounding mistakes that organization has made over the past 2 years, I don't think they can right that ship in 5 years. I think you're going to need probably 7 years to fully recover all of the draft capital, all of the mismanagement, all of the things that you have done wrong, unless they fall face first into 2 generational talents.
Well, the Bryce Young thing, I don't care who you draft. They could have drafted C.J. Stroud, and C.J. Stroud...
He could have sucked too.
No, he would have sucked. Yeah. He would have.
Yeah.
He would have been terrible because their offensive line was garbage. Their skill positions were not good by any stretch of the imagination. Their big signing was Adam Thielen, who is an aging white guy possession wide receiver. That's what they tried to bolster their receiving core with. They have zero talent. Frank Reich was given an impossible task.
And yet he was the one to blame.
I don't care who Bryce Young, if it's Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or whomever, it's Patrick friggin' Mahomes back there. They're not as bad, but you're not a good football team. And that is where Carolina sits right now, is that they've given up every single massive asset that they've had for nothing, including first-round picks, which you don't have a first-round pick this year because of the trade to get Bryce Young. You're sitting at 9th in this year's draft, or you're sitting at first in this year's draft because you were so bad, and now the Bears have 1st and 9th picks. They're sitting in the catbird seat. That is gross mismanagement. Yes. And it's gotten to the point where, like, Nashville's nice guy, Luke Combs, he's even calling him out on Twitter.
Yeah.
He tweeted out, Panthers, what are we doing? No first-round pick for McCaffrey a few years back, and now none for Burns? Are we just firebombing the whole team or what? I usually don't comment on these kinds of things, but it's just becoming so torture at this point. A man regarded as one of the nicest men in music right now is coming at your team, Carolina, because he's one of your only celebrity fans right now. This is like if Katie Lang and Ian Carmel turned on the Blazers. We're not there yet.
Never.
I think that says a lot about the level of stardom for the Portland Trail Blazers fan base.
Wow. Well, what's the guy from the ABC show with the
Modern Family?
Yeah.
Ty Burrell, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ty Burrell would never.
He would never.
He would never.
He would. Well, I mean, you Blazers do this. He might.
I mean, yeah. And this is like, this is if I was running, if this is GM Danny.
Yeah.
Everything that they have done is the exact opposite of what I would have done. When a deal comes along, if you're I like to exist in if you're a franchise in the NFL, if you are not in it, you either need to be building towards it or tearing down from it.
Yeah.
It is even more so than the NBA. The middle is a god-awful place to be unless you are on your way up or on your way down. If you are trying to sustain that level of like, hey, we're in it for a playoff. Let's go the Packers in the early Brett Favre era, where you're like, oh, they're a good team. That's okay in the 90s. In the 2020s, that's not okay.
Yeah.
You can't. We were talking about it the last segment. You can't extend a guy past a window. You can't overpay guys, and if you do, it's only going to be 1 or 2. You can't do it over and over and over again because you're trying to get to the 9 and 7 line, or the 9 and 8 line now. Like that is not a thing anymore, and that the Panthers aren't even striving for that. Like, what is the vision right now?
Well, he has had 6 head coaches since David Tepper bought the team in 2018.
Good God!
And that includes Dave Canales now, who is their head coach. Because remember, they fired Frank Reich in year 1. They also fired Steve Wilkes after 1 year. I think he was interim, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He was 6 and he went 6-6. So they've gone through Ron Rivera, Perry Felwell, Matt Rule, and by the way, Matt Rule, they gave him a massive deal. Was a 5-year deal. They gave him less than 3 seasons. Steve Wilkes, Frank Reich, Chris Tabor, and now Dave Canales. So they've gone through 6 head coaches. Dave Tepper, they had a practice facility that they were constructing. Apparently that turned into a massive ordeal, and they halted all plans for their new facilities and all that. It's been on the business side. It's been on the coaching side. It's been the roster construction side. They are an absolute disaster. They really are.
And the thing is, like, everyone's like, oh, you just get an owner in there with all the money, which I'm a huge proponent of. You want guys with FU money, left, right, and center, running your franchise, and he is. He's worth $21 billion.
That's a lot of money.
Good Lord! But as you start naming off those coaches, you know, the first thing I thought was, Reich's the only one there with any experience.
Yeah, outside of Rivera. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
as an NFL head coach.
But it's like, it feels like those are trying to be smarter than everybody in the room hires, as opposed to like, let's get a foundation under the organization.
It should be noted, like, half of those guys are interim.
Fair.
Canales, though, to your point, reach. Matt Rule going to the college ranks, reach. I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. As opposed to like Frank Reich was the other guy they hired as like their head coach.
Yes, and then what did they do? Not even a year.
Fire.
Like, you have not allowed your organization to lay any kind of foundation to build with, either on a personnel side, on a philosophy side, or on a coaching side. When I say Carolina football, what do you think other than S show?
Business decision. Cam Newton not jumping on a fumble in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, which, my God,
business decision.
That's
yeah, it's tough. You know, this leads me to, you know, the whole Bryce Young thing, trading up to go and get him. They are in a horrible spot right now. And Matt Miller, draft analyst for ESPN, he mentioned something a couple of weeks back that I want to bring up and see how you guys feel. 503-864-6326. That's the Vancouver Ford text line. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them online at vancouverford.com. Next on The Fan. Talking about the Carolina Panthers just being the speaking of dysfunction, and
It's got to be somebody.
the Bryce Young draft pick was, yikes, working out horribly. But this goes back to something that I saw from Matt Miller, ESPN draft analyst, a couple of weeks ago. And I wholeheartedly believe in this because your success in the NFL, especially as a quarterback, is such a product of where you are and who's around you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think like Kirk Cousins is a great example of this. Like the dude gets overpaid, but he throws a lot of touchdowns. He is not the guy who will win your team playoff games, but he can distribute the ball at an above average level. And they've got so many weapons around him. And he has done a very good job. And he picking and choosing his locations. I think Atlanta is another great spot for him, too, because they have got young weapons, and all he's got to do is be a dealer. He just got to deal the ball out. Matt Miller said this, and this was, right before the combine took place. This was involving the Patriots. Said the Patriots should not draft a quarterback at number 3 overall. This roster is not ready for a quarterback who's a rookie and would just set his development back. This isn't Houston with a Hall of Fame left tackle like Laramie Tunsil and solid supporting cast. This is closer to Carolina, and we all saw how that worked out. Looking at the top 3, looking at a franchise, if you are in a position where you need a quarterback and you are drafting high, do you go, we draft the quarterback of the future, or do you say, if we are so far off, we should just stay away at all costs? Because at least one thing that Chicago has, they, one, have a prospect that you can't just pass up.
That's
two,
the line.
they got a tackle last year, so he's not just going to be blind. It's not going to be a guy that is going to be running for his life. CJ Stroud is his rookie season was a product of his place.
Yes.
And where he was at. With Laramie Tunsil, with Nico Collins, with Tank Dell, Bobby Slowick, who was a phenomenal play caller in year 1. The planets aligned for them. And he had a running back in Devin Singletary that was good enough to alleviate a lot of your pressure that comes with being your rookie quarterback. CJ Stroud had none of that.
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young had none of that. Not any. A majority of Justin Fields' rookie contract, he had none of that. You are a product of the place that you are at. And that was a really interesting one because I agree, like, with what Matt Miller is right. Their offensive line in New England is horrible. Their skill positions are dreadful. Jane Daniels, Drake May, they're going to a bad situation if they go quarterback at 3. And that was Carolina last year. And they still traded up to go get
And
a
they
quarterback.
traded up to go get him. And that's the insane thing. Look, if you're there is a line to this. If you're a team that has the potential to draft a generational talent, then yeah, you can. We'll figure it out. We'll figure that the talent is so overwhelming.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes, we'll figure it out because you don't get those very often.
No.
Go back and look at the Trevor Lawrence draft. Look at every quarterback taken after Trevor Lawrence, and then grab your puke bag and then come back.
And it was a product of poor systems. Poor systems, not giving support.
Single one of them.
Yeah.
Outside of Trevor Lawrence has been a disaster. And Trevor Lawrence was on that path with Urban Meyer.
And then they made the changes and they got a roster around him that was good enough to compete.
Yeah. And so
I mean, everybody blasts quarterbacks and say how trash they are. They're not.
Well,
They're
some
not.
their
Their system in where they are,
some of them are not good.
but there is also people just go, no, not good. If you watch the quarterback play, you're like, damn, there is something there. And you just can't get past the offensive line being dreadful and the skill positions being that bad.
No matter what you do, I will not change my opinion on Justin Fields.
That's okay. That is okay. But he's going to have to go and change it from somebody else, and probably going to get traded to another team that's.
And it's not
reaching
even the
for a quarterback.
Giants now.
It's not even the Giants anymore.
God, where does he go?
I don't know
Because
because
it's running like
Look, we went through this yesterday. But
Woof.
the worst thing that could have happened was Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins leaving Denver and Minnesota.
I just saw something on the old Twitters that said, "Don't be surprised if maybe the Eagles swap a third day pick for Fields.
So that would be your 4th through 7th round pick.
And he's not going there to
The market plummeted.
transition, off Jalen Hurts. He's a backup.
That's what Philly does, though. They go and they get those guys. That's why they've had Marcus Mariota. They've had Gardner Minshew. They've had a lot of guys that are really damn good replacement quarterbacks that you put in there, and they say, all right, we'll just have him back up for a year.
That's
And
what I'm
that's
saying,
a great plan.
But if you're Fields, you're a backup now. You are not, hey, getting your second shot. You're a backup.
Yep.
Wow. That is a wild 6-week ride from, he'll get another opportunity to with another team to he's going to be a backup.
I don't think it's totally out of the question, and it won't be a good spot if New England were to trade for him and draft like Marvin Harrison Jr.
Mhm.
and then try to bolster their offensive
Something.
line. Yeah, like go out and try to sign Tyron Smith and get a left tackle and try to kind of rebuild that way. But because they have so much cap room, they're one of the few teams that can pay Tyron Smith.
They
now.
can go out there.
But
and
it
do some
still ain't
things.
going to fix all their warts that they got.
No, but they
It's
can
bad.
stopgap some stuff.
Yeah. All right. 503-864-6326. That's the Vancouver Ford text line. This is Danny Dusty on the Fan. Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you. Coming up this hour, we got more questions and answers from last night's Blazer game, and it has nothing to do with the Portland Trailblazers.
Absolutely not.
We're staying on the web as well, but got a text here on the Vancouver Ford text line that's pretty good. We're talking about Carolina's just a mess. We have so many teams that are in a really bad spot. Carolina, New England is in a horrible spot. Commanders are as well. But this text says, everyone thought Houston was a disaster situation last year, too. They had cycled through head coaches. They had so many question marks. But there's one thing that they had done with Nick Caserio. They were very aggressive, and they drafted really well.
Yep.
They had 2 years
what he was
of good
brought
drafts.
in for, and that's the identity that we were talking about.
But then you go and you get D'Amico Ryans, and to that disaster point is like nobody wanted to go and work there because ownership with what do they call him? They call him Tommy Boy.
Yeah, the family.
McNair's kid, Bob McNair's kid, who runs it. They call him Tommy Boy there.
God, yeah.
And because he was taking over Callahan Auto Parts and just running it on the side of the mountain. Well, they finally got Nick Caserio in place. Nobody wanted that job because they cycled through like they were Carolina, man. They had, 3 head coaches in 3 years. And then they go and they get D'Amico Ryans, who's a defensive-minded head coach. Everybody wanted offense. But they had a left tackle. They had 2 drafts in a row that were pretty dang good. And that's how quickly it can turn around, though. You have to have your owner get out of the way, and your GM has got to knock it out of the park. You can turn it around in short order in the NFL, though. And I think that text is really good. I mean, and Chicago could be that team this year. If Ryan Poles is not every other Bears GM of the past. He kind of knows what he's doing, right? Eberflus, does he? That's to be determined, especially after the Shane Waldron hire.
Yeah, 100%. The interesting thing here is, though, is also the Texans, as dysfunctional as they were just bad. They're just bad. They weren't. Draft capital wasn't being thrown all over the place.
They weren't irresponsible, is what you're saying. Yes.
And that
Carolina's irresponsible right now.
Yeah, then that's the difference in that you can get away. You can course correct bad.
Yes, you can.
You can course correct dumb. You can't course correct irresponsible.
No, you can't.
It's almost impossible. I say almost only because generational talents can course correct.
That's right.
Now, I don't know if C.J. Stroud is generational. I know he's really good. I don't
really
know if Will Anderson is generational. I know he's really good.
Yeah.
And when you get one guy on each side of the ball at impact positions, they can change things a ton. But also, like you said, there was some frameworks around things. Also, D'Amico Ryans, we knew immediately going into that season what the idea and identity of that franchise was going to be going forward.
I didn't. I didn't. I didn't.
You didn't think that D'Amico Ryans, the defensive-minded head coach, wasn't going to build a defensive-minded attacking team?
No.
Like the 49ers?
No. Because I was an offensive-minded head coach. But in San Francisco, stylistically, they were the same, but personnel-wise, they were nowhere close to San Francisco. So we didn't know how it would play out. I didn't know how D'Amico Ryans would be as a head coach, first-time head coach.
I don't know if he's going to be good or not,
in a
but
place
stylistically.
where you were leaning so much on young talent and you're a first-year head coach. I didn't know. I didn't know that last year heading in. But he passed every test with flying colors, though. But in his hire of Bobby Slowick was top-notch. I mean, that is a damn fine play caller that he hired there. But those are the things I didn't know. I didn't know that about D'Amico Ryans, and it was a guy that they had to go down pretty far deep on their list of candidates before they got to D'Amico. He did an incredible job, though, man. He's an incredible head coach, and that's one I didn't know how it was all going to work out because of how dysfunctional they had been in the past. So it's like he let us know really quick, though, that they weren't a fluke.
Yeah.
And he was really stinking good. All right. Hey, Best Basketball Party is back, folks. George McCoy at Warren Allen Attorneys at Law presents Fan Madness Thursday and Friday, March 21st and the 22nd. From noon to 7 p.m. each day, we're going to be at the Stadium Sports Bar at A. There's no better place to watch the first 2 days of the tournament than the Stadium Sports Bar in the A. Sports Book. You and I are going to be there live. Isaac and Suk going to broadcast live. Fan Madness is presented by George McCoy at Warren Allen Attorneys at Law. Injuries and missing work ruining your day? Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com. He'll make them pay. For more info, go to 1080thefan.com. Hey, Lil Birdie says YouTube stream. Going to be making its trip out to LNA as well. YouTube.com/1080am The Fan. All right, last night the Blazers played one of the best teams in the entire NBA, but the questions out of that game are more about the team that boasts the best record in the NBA. Next on The Fan. The Portland Trailblazers, they got beat.
They did.
121-99, 22-point loss. And I sat there looking at that Boston Celtics team. I said, God, they are good. They are really good. Defensively,
Yes.
far superior than what they have rolled out there the last several years.
Yep. And this is a team that has played together for a long time. And what is...
It's Eric Carmen.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, Boston.
R.I.P.
Had to let it roll till we hit that part.
No, I knew it. That's just it broke me. But this Celtics team, seeing them live, it's the first time seeing them live this season. Watching them on TV, just any team in general. When you watch them on TV, there's just certain things you don't see, you don't feel. Watching them live, the Celtics don't run a ton of plays. They run a lot of actions and a lot of sets, but it's mostly freelance, which can kind of bite them in some clutch situations. But the relationships and the triggers that they can pull with their top end guys.
And former Blazer great Drew Holiday. He wasn't
Yes.
even in the lineup yesterday.
Indeed. But Tatum and Brown can put you under so much pressure. And Jaylen Brown was so good getting downhill last night that it was kind of like, geez, that's a lot to deal with. And then Tatum just kind of picks and chooses, and then you've got Sam Hauser knocking down threes when you're in rotation. That was the thing I watched the Celtics over and over and over. They put you in rotation. They make you chase. And it's all very simple, but it's built on relationships. Tatum, Brown, Horford have been together forever. Forever. And everything feeds off Tatum and Brown. And you could just kind of have this understanding of where guys fit. Porzingis and Drew Holiday didn't play last night, but they fit seamlessly. If one thing doesn't work, they flow right into the next action. If that doesn't work, it flows right in the next. Then they flip it, and then they've got a counter. There was late in the game, Jason Tatum was hunting Anthony Simons, and they were
Relentlessly.
They were running double screens to get their switch because they knew that what they could get again because of their understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 times in a row they run it. Twice Tatum backs Anthony Simons down, basically under the rim. And the Blazers don't help because they don't want to get put in rotation. They're like, well, we'll make Tatum take a fadeaway jumper. That's probably the best thing for them, right? Well, then the Blazers go to pre-switch with Jeremy Grant to keep them from getting the switch. Tatum fights back across it, ducks underneath, and attacks down the slot, and then gets to the rim when the Blazers are caught in between. Then the Blazers send help the next time. Horford dives, and they find Horford on the dive. And they just had something every single time, no matter what you did.
And I think that also says a lot about the Blazers, too. It says both a lot about both of those teams because we know the Blazers have improved on the defensive end of the floor, especially since post-All-Star break. They have not been as offensive defensively.
No, I think last night they were okay. You just saw the difference.
But, I mean, great teams... They
exploit that.
Yes. But I have this question about Boston. As good as they are, and they are defensively, they're going to be in every single game in the playoffs, and they're going to be a really tough matchup, especially if we'll see. Believe it when we see it. Kristaps Porzingis is back in the lineup and healthy, but they're going to be so deep and good. When Drew Holiday, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, just look at what Milwaukee was going through without him at the beginning of the year on the defensive end of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
They are, and they are so multidimensional on the defensive end of the floor. It's crazy to watch them. But I go, do I trust? And it's not just the Jason Tatum in clutch time, right? Because
although that's part of it,
that's a big issue, right? And his clutch numbers are not good. But Sam Hauser is their best 3-point shooter, right? Is he going to be on the floor in crunch time and late in games? Because he's 4th most attempts and their best 3-point percentage-wise shooter on their team right now. Is that the guy that you can lean on? Like, is he going to be on the floor in those minutes? And this is a team that shoots a ridiculous volume of threes, too.
That's the thing is you look at this team and I'm sitting there watching them and they can get threes whenever they want to because they put you in that rotation. They get you chasing. There's going to be gaps and you're going to help off of the Hausers of the world. Hell, when they're fully healthy, you're going to help off Drew Holiday and Derek White. Or you're going to put in rotation, and Kristaps Porzingis is going to run from the above the break 3-point line, get a switch, and take your little butt down to the post, and his 7'3" lanky bottom is going to shoot over the top of you. But what the thing is you're not getting here is you're not getting the rim pressure. And I'm sitting there watching this team last night, and this is what you do is you nitpick title contending teams because this is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
They were getting to the rim and passing up layups, passing up shots at the rim. I'm sitting there going, I get it. You take and you make threes. They can put you in rotation. They can get downhill. But for the love of God, the layup is there. Take it.
Open.
Take it.
Open looks.
And it's just, nope, another three. Nope, another three. Nope, another three. And you're just like, for the love of God, please just like... I want to just kind of go through here real quick, the way their team is broken down. This is where their guys rank in their positions in the NBA on three-point volume. Sam Hauser is in the 99th percentile. Peyton Pritchard is in the 98th percentile. Al Horford is in the 94th percentile. Derek White, 76th. Porzingis, 73rd. O'Shea Brissett, 72nd. They are just cranking out threes. But what's different is Jaylen Brown, 14th percentile, Jason Tatum, 38th percentile. Where you see that changes, you see them endlessly taking mid-range jumpers, where Jason Tatum is in the 47th percentile in rim pressure.
Okay.
He gets to the rim, doesn't take shots. He settles. The math tells you he settles too much. Taking and making mid-range jumpers is a great thing. Having all these guys that are in the top percentile and taking threes is great, especially when they make them.
Exactly.
But when you're in the playoffs, the thing that will always be true is winning at the rim because there's too much volatility in three-point shooting, especially when you take them at the volume that this team takes them at.
And that will be the fascinating part with them is, do they start shooting fewer threes? Because last night was a crazy game too. They went 15 of 40 from three.
Mm-hmm.
Hauser and Al Horford combined to go 9 of 13.
They hit almost all of them.
That means everybody else was 6 for 27.
Mm-hmm.
That's
bad.
22%.
That's the volatility though.
And that right there, they still like this says a lot about Portland, but they still won by 22 points. They are really good defensively. And that's the thing is that, like, at what point in the season do they start saying, we're going to take those bunnies? Because if they don't ever get to that point, I don't think I trust them.
And that's the thing is, you take a look at Tatum and Brown last night. They go 3 of 16 from three. If that's Milwaukee, how do you think that game goes?
They get run out of the gym.
Because where Boston capitalizes, they pummeled Portland on the offensive glass last night, 14 offensive rebounds. They didn't shoot themselves in the foot. They only had 3 turnovers, and they didn't foul.
Peyton Pritchard had a hell of a game, too.
Almost a triple-double.
Hometown kid coming home.
Yeah,
He got the StatMuse treatment. Do you see that?
I did.
He got the StatMuse treatment of
as a
starter. Starters to current active players in the NBA that average,
10, 6, and 6.
Yeah, and it's like
because he had
Peyton
11,
Pritchard.
8, and 8 last night as
because
a starter.
he's had 10 starts in his career. Yeah. But he's been really good every time he starts.
And he chased the triple-double last night. They left him in and tried to get it.
But do it in your hometown.
Yeah, exactly. It was fun. But I thought the Blazers, for the most part, played well. And it wasn't like some moral victory. It's just like they're just out-talented. That's really what it came down to. That's a title-contending team. And I asked Chauncey Billups about it post-game. He goes, I go, how far along are you guys? Or how far away from this? He goes, yeah, we're a long way from that. But that's what we want to be. Not just that good, but the idea of like being so connected on both sides of the floor, being on the same page, having the understanding. And the thing that not only him, but the rest of the team emphasizes that comes with being together for a long time, 3, 4, 5, 6 years together, to where you just have that secondary understanding.
Having your top 7 players play more than a half would be a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those that don't know what Dusty's talking about,
great.
the Trailblazers top 7 of Scoot Henderson, Shaden Sharp, Anthony Simons, Jeremy Grant, Malcolm Brogdon, and Robert Williams III have played collectively one half of basketball together this year. If you take Robert Williams III out of it, they have played 4 games.
And that, I think, is where the frustration of
Do you think
a lot
Jason
of the Blazer
Tatum-
fans who don't see the progression that the guys that are playing have
Yes.
made, that's where it's at, because it's like, how are you ever going to get to that point without going through the struggle of having all those guys together? And it's
Yes.
like they're never on the floor together. Never.
I think Tatum and Brown have been together for more than 4 games.
They have. They have. And that's where,
5 conference
like,
finals.
you can't keep shutting down your guys. And this year is different, but like last year, this is now year 3 where we don't, like, it's all injuries and guys not playing and guys being shut. You can't build that continuity, and you can't really see what the vision is until you get those guys all out on the floor together.
And that's something hopefully the Blazers will have when they get Shaden Sharp back here in a couple weeks. Chauncey Billups did say that Shaden is ramping up more from no activity to some to a little bit more.
All right.
So
all right.
organizationally, the plan has been for the last couple of weeks that I've heard that hopefully Shaden Sharp can get out there in the final 5 to 10 games.
Okay.
So there's a little kernel of something.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
You want to hear about the worst suspension in sports history?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go to that next year on our Worst Day on the Web. But first, here's the Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
I hear they got some tasty burgers.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Your new floors are in stock and ready to install at PG Long, your Northwest flooring experts, pglongllc.com. First on the Fan, the Trailblazers off tonight after falling to the league's best team in the Boston Celtics last night. Game 5 of the 6-game homestand coming up tomorrow against the Atlanta Hawks. The Blazers 18-46 on the season, the 5th worst record in the league. Over in the NFL, the Ravens signing running back Derrick Henry to a 2-year, $16 million deal worth up to $20 million. The Commanders and Marcus Mariota have agreed to a 1-year, $6 million deal. That one could reach $10 million with incentives. Seahawks announced that they've re-signed defensive end Leonard Williams. The Vikings signing former Packers running back Aaron Jones to a 1-year, $7 million deal. The Bengals trading running back Joe Mixon to the Texans for an undisclosed draft pick. Steelers signing former Ravens linebacker Patrick Queen to a 3-year, $41 million contract. The Colts re-signing Kenny Moore, 3 years, $30 million. That makes him the highest paid nickelback in the league. Free agent pass rusher Dante Fowler Jr. planning to sign with the Commanders. The Browns close to a deal to add quarterback Jameis Winston to back up Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. The Giants signing former Seahawks quarterback Drew Lock to a 1-year deal worth up to $5 million. Bears and tight end Gerald Everett, 2-year deal that could be worth up to $14 million. And Diana Rossini of The Athletic reporting the Raiders expected to cut quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo tomorrow. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The inside story on the Blazers, Ducks, and Beavers. Danny and Dusty. Weekdays noon to 3 on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan. Worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Well, that sucks.
Look, drug suspensions are no joke, right? Unless they are. Unless they are. What's the sport
All right.
that if you tested positive for a banned substance,
Okay.
it would have the least impact in?
Like what,
Physical activity, an Olympic sport.
an Olympic sport.
An Olympic
that
sport.
Are you talking like street drugs? Or are we talking performance enhancing?
Banned substance.
Well, both are banned substance. Performance enhancing drugs?
Yeah, PDs.
Street drugs.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, that would have the least effect on your performance. Table tennis.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, like your steroids aren't going to help you there. Like getting on the juice ain't going to help you.
Not
Like Adderall probably helps you.
hyper focused.
Yeah, I would go table tennis.
Some uppers.
Yeah, if I'm going summer games, table tennis.
What about winter games and curling?
Yeah, now we're talking. Well, I don't know.
She's the stone thrower,
Okay, yeah.
which I would
It's
argue.
touch. It's touch.
I would argue the broom. The broom might be
No.
where you would be seeing the
Yeah, the
juice.
What is it? Dodgeball beaver tranquilizers that the Girl Scout tested positive for?
4-time champion argues she was unknowingly
Yeah.
exposed
Okay.
to Ligandrol.
Of what? Leinenkugel? The beer?
Yeah, it is a it is a full-on steroid.
Yeah.
It is an oral steroid.
Like she was going like straight up yeah, that is it's like a cattle steroid.
yeah, it's not like a
Solid.
It's not like a tangential steroid. Like this is a muscle growth steroid.
Huh.
So she has
She
been
doesn't
suspended.
look very jacked.
No, she doesn't. She has just been suspended or
Brienne
faces a 4-year suspension for
Well-
testing positive.
And she's a curler. I say
And not curling weights. Like we're talking on the ice, folks,
All right.
sliding on the knee with a stone.
okay, which is a sport that its roots are in drinking.
It is.
Like people go and like the curling is you go and you have a few pops, you drink, you throw the stones. You don't need the steroids.
Well, that's why Molson is also on the banned substances list.
Yeah, no, that's a revolt right there.
I want
There's no
to-
way. What country is she from?
I believe it was Canada.
Yes, Canadian.
This is a big scandal up in Canada then.
And you're not wrong, because remember, I was stationed in Grand Forks, North Dakota, which
Yeah.
is about 40 minutes south of the Canadian border. Do you know what's in Grand Forks?
A lot of curling.
The Grand Forks Curling Club, of which I spent time there.
They have one here in Tigard, I think.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Beaverton.
Yeah.
No
whoa,
kidding.
Sorry.
Looks like I got to go out there.
There is a curling facility in Beaverton.
Yeah. And every 4 years it becomes wildly popular. And then I bet we could get in right now. You know? I bet now's the time that you want to get in and get into curling. She's a curling champion, so obviously it works.
Well, yeah, here's the dirty little secret, folks. Steroids work across the board.
Here's my next question. Is she kind of hot? I'm looking at the picture.
You're not wrong to ask that question.
Yeah.
You're not.
Huh.
Which curling, sneaky sport, for the hots, right? Not what I would necessarily have gone with.
You know what I like about this curling that the Canadian team has? Outside of, they're taking the juice to get better at curling. They have like little background. You know what their team is sponsored by?
Scotties.
Scotty's. They're toilet paper and sponge towels.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's, they're just like, who's our demo?
People who need to wipe their butts.
Stay-at-home wives
That's
and
Scots,
dads.
right?
and dads. Scott, what?
Isn't that different? Scots, the toilet paper, that's Scots. It's not Scotties, right?
It's the Canadian version, my friend.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Cashmere is like Charmin.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So like Hellman's versus Best Foods.
That's right. It's the
Gotcha.
Canadian. It's the Canadian alternative there. That they're hitting the demo. They're like it's moms and dads. They're hitting that demo with we're gonna clean this mess up here. I never thought we'd have PEDs in curling, but here we are.
Also,
Everybody trying to find an edge. This is not surprising.
Upon
one
further
bit.
investigation,
Yeah.
she's She's kind of jacked.
Oh, she is jacked. So it is working, and she's a pusher and a sweeper.
Yeah. Yep. Turns
Yeah.
out.
All right, this is all starting to make sense now. I didn't think that Canada would be at the center of this, though. You know, I thought Canada, you wouldn't find curling to be their PED sport. The Russians, absolutely. You know, any of the former Soviet bloc. Yeah.
Ivan Drago. I mean,
like the Estonian curling team. Yeah, that tracks.
Well, remember the entire Russian Federation was basically told you can't compete, and it wasn't just because.
Now hold on.
Well, yeah, you expect this from behind the Iron Curtain, not behind a Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
Now I'm seeing
also
this
where I
here.
got my steroids.
Wait, she at a Tim Hortons
behind it.
I'm also seeing like the last Olympics. She was pregnant, so was she taking the juice while she was knocked up? There's a whole other layer to all of this. She's right there.
Pardon me?
Yeah, she's pregnant right there.
That baby come firing out like out of a hydro tube?
Yeah, he came out with the Macho Man Randy Savage beard going, oh yeah, brother.
Did you know that there's a thing they called the Hercules gene?
No.
Tell
me more.
Do you ever see like the World's Strongest Man, like Brian Shaw?
Yes.
I do not have it.
Eddie Hall. So Eddie Hall so normally there's multiple tiers to this gene. If you have like tier 1 of this gene, it's like called MCT, I think it is.
Of course you've Googled this.
You typically don't live. Like the long and short of it is this gene allows your body to not only produce but to hold and carry more muscle mass. And so if you ever hear about like the babies that
I'm
are
looking at the little
born,
jacked kids right now.
Well, if you have the tier 2, it's called the Hercules gene, and Eddie Hall has it. So it's like Michael Phelps being double jointed in his shoulders and his knees and being a swimmer.
That's badass.
Eddie Hall having this gene is like a cheat code. And actually, a lot of the world's strongest men have this gene because that's what allows them to get so big.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
But also, taking the steroid when you're pregnant, probably a good idea to get the
probably the synthetic Hercules gene.
Synthetic Hercules gene.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are all just ripped out of their gourd with the Hercules gene.
Oh God, no, it's disgusting.
I feel this way. Like we talk about this with professional athletes. Like you've just been touched by the hand of God. Yeah, Hercules gene.
Yes, no,
some of that.
If you work hard, you can get there. No, you can't.
Now, there's just some things your genetics have that you
genetically predisposed to be very strong, very fast, very twitchy.
Yeah, and if you don't have it, you play point guard for Duke. You're scrappy little white guy.
Or you coach at Duke
coach's
later,
kid,
like John Shire.
Exactly. That's what happens. Them's the rules. I didn't make them.
If you're smart enough, you go to West Point.
Like Coach K. And then become the coach at Duke and take all those
Greg
guys.
Popovich, the Air Force Academy.
That's right. That's right.
Picking up what we're putting down, folks?
Yep.
That's how this goes. But yeah, that's your cheating schedule.
I didn't see that was going to... I was not anticipating curling being the sport.
How far down the list do you think that would be for you?
That it would be down there with table tennis. When you said winter games, curling popped right into mind there. Because
winter games was going to give it away.
Winter, yeah, absolutely.
Well, but what if I said it was steroids and they were on the shooting team?
Like the biathlon?
Yeah, the cross-country skiing and shooting.
Which, that looks miserable.
Those you ever seen those shooters? Like, it's number one, it's air rifle. It's not actually a gun. I mean, I guess technically, but cross-country skiing on its own looks like that sucks.
It's hard.
Like, I've done snowshoeing. I have not done cross-country skiing.
Cross-country skiing's hard.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's flat. What are you doing?
Booty lock is what happens when you go cross country skiing. You just all of a sudden your butt and your hamstrings just go, and you're done. I don't like cross country.
That just put the fear of God in me because my glutes and hamstrings don't work.
I can't wait until and this is obviously going to be something that I don't know, America comes up with, and they're like, let's do Summer Games biathlon because you can just run a marathon and have your gun out and just. You stop and shoot. That's the same thing.
That's like
you're running a marathon and stopping and shooting stuff because the skill in it is you're dead tired and you're trying to shoot something.
So this is how we take long distance running back from Sudan. Is we go,
sure.
Hey, Tennessee Mountain Man, got something for you, buddy.
Yeah. Along the lines of cross country, when you said that, we watched the movie McFarlane USA. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
With Kevin Costner?
Yeah.
That was a damn good movie.
Fun little movie.
Yeah, guy down in California gets fired from being a football coach for like being all abusive and stuff. Goes and becomes a dominant cross country coach.
Yep.
It's crazy. It's a good movie. If you haven't seen it, came out a few years ago, but it's good.
Is that Disney?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Disney flick. It's on Disney Plus. That's where we saw it.
Well, there you go.
All right, sidetrack. Tangent.
No.
There we go.
We can go from steroids and coach redemption stories to NFL beef. Ooh. We'll get to that more coming here on Danny Dusty, Danny the Fan.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome.
I do love a good petty back and forth. It's one of my favorite things, for being honest.
Oh, no way.
Especially when it's between two bitter rivals, like Saquon Barkley leaving the New York Giants for the Philadelphia Eagles.
So good.
It's so good.
And here's the thing. The Giants asked for this themselves. They got this last year when they re-upped with Daniel Jones and they tried to tag Saquon instead.
Mm-hmm. Did it wrong.
And I don't blame Saquon Barkley for not just leaving, but for going to a bitter rival in the Philadelphia Eagles. I think it's a great fit. I think that he
better team, more money, better situation. I don't understand why anybody's complaining about this.
Yeah, and there are questions that Philly needs to answer. Big leadership void on both sides of the ball with Kelsey and Fletcher Cox being gone. And I don't like that aspect. Like Jason Kelsey is the best center in the NFL. He leaves as a first-team All-Pro, and he is dominant at his position. But his leadership, that is a massive hole. Fletcher Cox, another enormous hole that you can't just sit there and be like, you know what, we're gonna be just fine. There's
other
a
good
big
players
question.
will fill the void. It's like, no, that's not how that works.
No, especially with Jalen Hurts is not that guy at quarterback. He has a fantastic leadership skill set, but
different kind.
He is not. You got to be. There's a level of dominance in the hierarchy in your locker room, and he will take over a spot. But there's also going to be this power struggle because a guy like AJ Brown, very outspoken, who is going to be that guy in Philly? You bring in a Saquon Barkley, and he can command that attention and hopefully be that guy on the offensive side of the ball. But you're losing that with Fletcher Cox on the defensive side too. So big questions in Philly. And Nick Sirianni, after what was a red-hot start this season, in the regular season, you started seeing the coordinator void with Shane Steichen being gone on the offensive side and Jonathan Gannon going to the Arizona Cardinals. It turned into an S show at the end of the year, and it was ugly at the end of the season. But I would go directly to the rival if I'm Saquon too.
Sure. And that's going to make somebody, and a lot of people, feel a certain way. And it started with former Giant Tiki Barber.
On our sister station, WFAN.
And Saquon has already taken to Twitter himself to say thank you to everyone who's shown me love and support over the past 6 years. Forever grateful. Excited for the next chapter. Blue heart emoji. Peace.
Okay, blue heart emoji. I'm looking at
He's dead to us now.
Yeah, say it.
He's dead to us.
Because he won't say it.
You're dead to us, Saquon. Good luck. You're dead to me.
Tiki Barber!
Hey!
Off the top rope!
It was said with some little tongue-in-cheek there.
Yeah, and that was 100% tongue-in-cheek, and context means everything. Context does not show up.
On the tweets.
On Twitter, where Complex Sports put just a picture of Tiki next to Saquon, and with just that quote, "You're dead to us, Saquon. Good luck. You're dead to me." Saquon Barkley just said, all right. Tagged Tiki Barber. LOL, yep. You're the prime example of loyalty to a team. I got the deal I wanted, secured more guaranteed money, which wasn't given to me before. So if fans are going to hate me for that, so be it. But I never turned my back on my teammates and always had theirs. Airing the dirty laundry out there. Just putting it all out there. That's a shot at Tiki Barber and saying Tiki Barber was not a well-received teammate in New York. I love everything about it. And that made Tiki have to go back to the airwaves today and
walk it back a little bit.
A lot.
I've been retired for 17 years, 18 years. I am now in the media. The fact that my emotional reaction responding to you going to the Philadelphia Eagles, which is, by the way, the voice of a lot of Giants fans. I'd say the majority of Giants fans, and you're going to come back and talk about something from 17 years ago that you don't even understand or misrepresenting? That's fine. Be that way then. I like Saquon Barkley. By the way, saying dead to me was basically tongue-in-cheek, but it is what it is. Get offended.
You've been a hater since I got to New York. Why have you been hating Saquon Barkley?
I don't even know what he's talking about. I've done nothing but support Saquon Barkley. I'm not sure what he's talking about. Now, if he's going to pull this, I'm gone now, hate me if you want to, fine. We'll hate you, right? You're not talking to me because I don't care. I've been retired for a long time. I'm almost 50 years old.
Please don't put in the newspaper that I was mad. Please don't say that I got mad.
I love all of it.
Like, Tiki tried to have it both ways there. Like, I wasn't doing anything, but also, you don't actually know what you're talking about. It is, hey, it needs more clarification about how I was a crappy teammate and nobody liked me, and everybody in the NFL knows that.
Well, Tiki Barber needs to embrace this because what's going to happen is all of the Giants fan base is going to rally around Tiki Barber now because it's him against us.
Which in New York is always us against them.
Tiki is trying to, frame this all now that, hey, whoa, I'm the good guy here. I'm totally the good guy here. We can put everything else behind us. All of the boos, because once a year for the life of this contract, they're going to be playing in New York. They're going to be playing in MetLife Stadium at the former Meadowlands. And now those boos are going to be amplified even more. And I can't wait. That's going to be like the one time that it's like, okay, finally, put the Giants and the Eagles back on primetime television again.
The economy might be good enough that where you can actually throw batteries again.
Yeah. Whoa, hey. That is something, though, that I can't stand when we see Giants, Cowboys, or Eagles, Cowboys, when one or both of the teams are irrelevant and they just shove them down our throat on Sunday Night Football. And I think the NFL has gotten a lot better at this with their primetime games, especially with flex scheduling, that we no longer have to suffer through that, especially late in the year when, the Giants are 4-12 and they're hosting, the Cowboys or the Eagles who are already 2 games up in the division and have already locked in their spot. We don't have to see that. I want it now. If that game in week 16 or week 17 is in the Meadowlands and it's Saquon going back there, I'm here for all of it. Because what did the New York Giants do when Saquon left? They just said, fine, we're going to stop the run. If there's going to be one guy that's not going to embarrass us, it's not going to be Saquon Barkley.
100%.
Because now they have Kayvon, they have Snacks, and they also have Brian Burns, who they just traded for, peanuts for. They are going to be like, all right, there's one guy who's not going to embarrass us because we know our fan base will go absolutely ape. You know what?
We may lose by 30, but not because of that guy.
I'm here for it.
All right, commitment hour number 3. We will discuss. Oh my God, I'm making up words. We will discuss all of the free agency moves, the biggest, the brightest, the head-scratching ones that the Panthers didn't make, as well as, this is really what we're waiting for in hour number 3. Dusty breaks down the entire Kate Middleton situation.
It has to happen.
Dun, 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 dun. Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Number 3 here on Danny Dusty on a wonderful Tuesday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. We love you.
It's a Tuesday.
Whether you listen on 1080 AM
Yeah.
or watching on 1080 on YouTube.com,
Yeah.
/ 1080 AM fan, Twitch.com / 1080 the fan, of which we will have the YouTube stream up at maybe at A.
Was that a question?
Maybe.
What is going on with you?
Testing is being done. We are confident that it will work.
Yeah.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yeah.
It'll probably work.
Yeah, we got the cameras are coming with us. Cameras are coming with us up to A, so it'll be full steam ahead. Let's go.
Full steam ahead. An Odyssey station.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, full head of steam.
There you go.
ahead.
Full steam ahead.
NFL free agency. Full steam ahead.
Yeah.
It is going and going and going. What has been the one non-Kirk Cousins move that has been the most surprising to you?
Surprising? I mean, the Texans and the Vikings just swapping
pass rushers.
Yeah, pass rushers with Jonathan Grenard going to Minnesota and then Danielle Hunter going down to Houston.
Which isn't done, but it sounds to be
It sounds like it's done. That's a little bit surprising. I do think I think one thing that is really surprising to me is that we have not seen really any traction or movement with Tyron Smith, because you have teams that are desperate for tackle help that have a ton of money to spend in free agency, and I don't know what is keeping them away from the. He is 33, but if you go on a short deal with him, you can bolster your offensive line really quickly, despite injury concerns. And those are real because you have a left tackle who's 33 years old. But him still being out there, that's really interesting because we haven't heard anything
about really any of the tackles.
And guards have been getting paid left and right.
Yes.
And that is that's reassuring to all those guys getting that bag. But at the same time, it's also an interior line heavy offensive line class this year. And that's where there's not a lot of tackles that are the slam dunks that are out there. I mean, I think one of the really cool things is that Fuaga from Oregon State is one of those guys.
Yeah, he can be both.
He is one of the guys that everybody's kind of circling as, he is a dynamite tackle. And Fonsanu from Washington as well. In the draft this year, it's not really tackle heavy. It's interior offensive line. Those are the guys that get in the bag right now in free agency. So having Tyron Smith there. But as far as guys that have signed, I was really surprised Josh Jacobs going to Green Bay. Not that he left the Raiders, but to go to Green Bay in the way that the whole Aaron Jones thing shook out. I also think Aaron Jones just going to Minnesota. I mean, I'm not really surprised about Derrick Henry going to Baltimore. It is an interesting fit because of scheme.
But there was traction to it because the Ravens had tried to trade from before.
Yep. And I think that they are going, I think what we're signaling is they're going to be going far less gap scheme, way more zone with their running backs, because Lamar Jackson was really taking the bulk of their zone carries last year. But if you're talking about power and counter, we'll run Derrick Henry at that. Go ahead. But it'll take a little bit of a shift because it's like a quarter of his carries in his NFL career have been gap scheme. He's mostly a zone runner. But that one makes sense. Saquon to Philly, we talked about that. Sure. That makes sense because you're just sticking it to him.
Yeah.
There haven't been really any shocks because we knew about the Kirk Cousins thing a week ago.
It was out there, certainly.
Yeah.
Mine isn't a singular signing, it's the group signing, and the fact that you basically hit on it. The running backs. Not only did they get paid, they all got scooped up.
Real quick.
There's you look at free agency the running backs left in free agency right now. They all have question marks.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. J.K. Dobbins his legs and mine are about the same right now as far as injuries. It's just, I mean, he's had 2 Achilles tears now?
Yeah. I think 2. I think one was a knee, right? But can I say a team that I actually I'm really interested in their offseason because I like their coach a ton. They have weapons around. I'm very unsure about their quarterback because it's Sam Darnold. I like what Minnesota's doing.
Sure.
Because they got last year without Dalvin Cook, you saw it was a completely different offense. Now you have Aaron Jones. You get him from Green Bay. You pair him with Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson for now, TJ Hawkinson. They've got 2 decent and good tackles, an a draft that is very heavy on the interior of the offensive line. You can bolster that. A draft that is very heavy at corner. You can bolster that. They need to go and they need to make a move on the interior of their defensive line, but they got Grenard and Van Ginkel from Houston and Miami, respectively. They have the opportunity, or they could be really damn good next year, and they have money to spend with Kirk Cousins walking away. This could be maybe not this year, but
in preparation for
next year, they could be really good. Like the 2025 season is what I'm eyeing. Like Minnesota could turn this thing around because I really do like what Kevin O'Connell does.
Unless, of course, Justin Jefferson goes to the Bengals.
Yeah, which that is a whole thing. Jamar Chase is just trolling everybody right now. He's liking all these tweets because, and he's tagging Justin Jefferson in them because I don't think Justin Jefferson wants Sam Darnold to be his quarterback. And like this could change everything with them if Justin Jefferson's like,
I'm out.
No, but they have the money to spend on him. If the Darnold experiment does work out and he still gets his touches, gets his looks, Minnesota's going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
They have the opportunity to be
and
really
we can test the whole idea of like, what does an average quarterback look like when they have real weapons?
That's right.
Do they look great or do they look average?
And a really damn good coach.
Also on the J.K. Dobbins front, ACL tear, meniscus tear, LCL tear, hamstring tear, and Achilles tear.
That's a lot.
Oh, and let's not forget fibula fracture in 2016. My guy's legs, they're on par with mine. So there's a reason why he's still a free agent. A.J. Dillon, also a guy who's been banged up.
He's a monster of a man.
Yes. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which I think it's mostly just because he's just Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
He's hurt. He's hurt often, too, and he's a product of a system where he's more of a receiving back. He's not an every down back. He's a guy that once you start filling your gaps in your roster, you go and you get a Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But, I mean, he's just out there. But overall, running backs have been getting paid left and right. It's been fun to see, but it's also the gamble that you're going to go down because I think every team that has gone and signed these guys they are in a win now mode.
Yes.
And that is like, you're not seeing the head scratcher of like, he went where? Like none of them are going to Carolina right now.
No, Eckler and Pollard went to the Titans and Commanders, but otherwise, yeah, Eagles, Packers, Ravens.
But Eckler and Tony, Austin Eckler also hurt a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Pollard, not the workhorse back that they thought he was, behind a great offensive line in Dallas.
Yep.
You sit there and you look at those two guys and you're like, yeah, those are the guys that are going to go to, they trickle down to Commanders and Titans and in the pecking order of running backs where you got some tread left on the tires. You're going to try to roll the dice and see the gamble, but they're not getting overpaid for. The guys who wanted that money, who had their little powwow last year in the offseason, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, they got their money, man.
It's interesting. Remember they had to come together and basically say next year, guys, next year.
Yeah, look at this. We have Bengals fan chiming in on the Vancouver Ford text line. T. Higgins to the Vikings, Jefferson to Cincy. I'd be okay with that as a Bengals fan. Yeah, I bet you would be.
Also,
just LSU, just 2019 LSU, just taking the field or 2018 LSU, taking the field for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Also,
unstoppable.
You tossed in maybe a little bit of draft capital. I could at least squint if I see that. If Jefferson says I'm not.
Oh, T. Higgins wants to be traded, and if the whole thing about this, though, does Cincinnati have $30 million to spend on Justin Jefferson next year? So it's just a 1 year.
That's where Jefferson hits up Joey. Hey, buddy, you want me? You got to restructure that deal.
They got to pay Joe. They got to pay Jamar Chase too. And like the money is going to be,
but my God, insane. Jamar and Jefferson on the same team.
And Mike Brown is just too poor to make that happen because he's cheap.
Yeah,
he's a cheap owner.
This is why we can't have nice things.
That's right. Well, are you a Bengals fan now?
I mean,
we know the Raiders can't have nice things.
I could be like I have said that the Bengals are my other like team that I watch.
Yeah.
So it's on record.
On record, we have noted it. 217 on March 12th.
No, I've said it in the past. I said it with last 2 years going into the season because I knew the Raiders were going to suck.
Okay. So you just went another AFC team
Yeah, well, they're over there.
in good.
Well,
It's a non.
They're fun.
It's a non-factor.
They're fun.
They are really
that's
fun.
That
team.
was the thing. Is like I want to watch somebody fun because the Raiders are not fun. So, you had some fun, and you have discovered. Dun 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 dun.
I went through it, man.
What in the world is going on with royalty? Kate Milton. We'll get to that next year on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. we dive into the never-ending world of royalty in the UK and what the hell is going on with Kate Middleton, the Lady Pilots are out here hooping right now. The number three seed in the WCC bracket is taking on Gonzaga right now.
Yeah.
46 apiece.
Let's go, Pilots!
It's number one Gonzaga. Portland winning here will get them the automatic qualifier to the women's NCAA tournament.
We've got 37 minutes left in this show, and they have a minute to go in the third quarter.
It'll probably be
I need
over.
Jeff Rust to be on Swag Watch at this point. If this thing comes down to the wire, we need the swag call to really
send this thing
emphasize
home.
it.
Yeah.
I think this may end up if things
it's been tight the entire game.
If we don't end up going to the free throw line at the end of this, it could be all-time swag calls happening here. So you are on Swag Watch.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for the swaggasm.
All right. It will be one. Indeed. I can't wait.
Without further ado, though,
Yeah.
we will check back in. You have dove?
Yeah.
Divin?
Mm-hmm. I went into this.
Into the world of
Yeah.
Kate Middleton and why the hell she's trending?
Yeah, I didn't know why this was happening.
I'm glad you
and
did it because it wasn't going to be me.
I spent too much time on this morning. And by far too much time, I read 2 articles. But the one from Slate really drives it home because I was like, what is happening? Where are we at here? Why is this even a thing? The lead of the article is Kate Middleton is dead. Kate Middleton is recovering from a BBL. That's a Brazilian butt lift. Kate Middleton is getting a divorce from her husband, Prince William, who killed one of his relatives with a shotgun the other day. All of these rumors have circulated online in recent weeks because Kate Middleton has not been seen in public for months following an abdominal surgery. Okay. The royal family is crazy. The coverage of the royal family is crazy.
No way.
Yeah. And so I was like, what is going on? So apparently she went and had ab surgery in January, and nobody has seen her since. And so you leave, and that is very odd because nobody even saw her coming out of the hospital. And we know all the paparazzi stuff around the royal family.
Uh-huh.
They'll just swarm to her. No, we've seen nothing from her. Well, Sunday apparently is Mother's Day in the UK. Which is also a very confusing thing about this is because I saw all of these Mother's Day posts and I was like, it's not Mother's Day, is it? I am in deep trouble if it is.
Yeah,
pretty sure that's in May. Pretty sure it's in May, right?
Yeah, it's actually the day of the NBA draft lottery.
Okay.
The 17th.
There we go. Is that true? Really?
Yeah,
doing it on a Sunday?
Yeah, they moved it from Tuesday to Sunday for some stupid reason.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
But the first time people saw Kate Middleton since this surgery was on Sunday in a post with a very weird picture. And then, obviously, people with way too much time. Just think of, the people in the UK that really care about the royal family, they're the QAnon of the States, right? I mean, that's the Venn diagram. They cross paths.
The internet sleuths?
Yeah, the tinfoil hat folks are all the people that cover the royal family. So they just started sleuthing in on this picture. And they're like, wait. The kids' hands are all weird. They all have open mouth smiles, which is a weird thing. The Mother's Day post was, photo credit to Prince William. And then people are like, look, the tiles on the ground, they don't match up. The sleeve is a little bit fuzzy here. They were going, this is an AI picture. That's where the
dun, 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 dun.
That's where the she's not even alive thing started popping up is the internet sleuths, they dove into this picture. And then that's what people are like, the royal family is so, cross their T's, dot their I's with all this stuff. Attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to Photoshop the photo, it's going to be done professionally. They feel like this was rushed. So that's where and then the fact in the picture she's sitting down, they're like Brazilian butt lift, right? There's where the other folks went. But then as I'm reading all of these articles, I'm like, wait a minute. Somebody in the royal family died, apparently.
Mm-hmm. After having a butt lift and ab surgery.
No, not that one. Not Kate Middleton. Another royal family member apparently died recently. And then Prince William was photographed with bruises on his neck. So then people are like, oh, he killed him. Where do we go? How is that your next logical step here?
Because people watch way too many soap operas.
So I'm reading all these articles trying to figure out what is going on. And so what ended up happening was the AP, Reuters, all of the publications, they pulled that social media post because they're like, it was obviously edited by somebody. She comes back over the top and is like, hey, look, I took the picture, like we took the picture, but I edited it on my phone because, it's for the gram, right?
Yeah.
Like you want it to look good. As if like every other person on Instagram doesn't do the same damn thing, right? I don't know how either, but that's why I have never posted Instagram. I don't know how to do any of these things, but she's saying, I just touched the picture up by myself, but they're like, we need to see your face or we're going to continue the rumors that you're dead.
We
And
we need
that
proof of
right
life.
there might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. They need the proof of life. Like, no, you're dead until I see you, which leads me to believe Jim Carrey was right. When Jim Carrey said everybody needs to be a celebrity so they know how much it sucks.
Then people wouldn't clamor for it.
Yeah. Then nobody would want this anymore because she's like that. I love how they call her like the rags to riches story. It's not the case at all. But now she's a princess.
Yeah.
And
Duchess.
No, she's a princess.
I thought
No, she's a princess.
the other one.
Yeah, Meghan Markle's the Duchess.
They abdicated or whatever.
So, I spent far too much time this morning realizing that just basically people in the royal family are QAnon and they get everything trending and it's all out there for us to see. She's not dead. And I don't think Prince William killed anybody. And if she got a Brazilian butt lift, why are we shaming her for that? Like, more power to her.
Good for her.
And people are freaking out that they haven't seen her.
Little mommy makeover? What's
Yeah.
wrong with that?
If you're freaking out that you haven't seen her in 2 months, get over it. Why do people need to see pictures of the royal family? Like, paparazzi is something I just don't understand.
I want to remember who it was, but there's a woman that I mentioned this before who wears the same thing out of the house every single day so that paparazzi can't sell the pictures as new.
Yeah, yeah.
That's such a fantastic troll.
That's the great way to go about your business.
Yeah. You going to keep showing up every day?
Yeah.
Fine. I'm going to waste your time.
And that's like, I was thinking that who is that in America? And I think it is like Leonardo DiCaprio's been in this forever because that's a guy, he wears like the crappiest baseball hats of all time. And you're like, yeah, he just like pulls them down, but you always see the like, here's Leo leaving the store. Well, yeah, he goes to the store just like us.
Yeah. Throws on sunglasses. Like, it's funny. Anytime you ever see stars out, they're always dressed down, and that's purposeful.
Yeah.
So that they can blend in.
Yeah, this is a good point too on the text line. And I think this is where the tinfoil hatters are. They're like, the cover-up's worse than the crime. It's silly the Crown didn't at least pay for the Photoshop Pro Plus. Like, just get somebody to touch the photos up for you.
I mean, maybe she didn't want to send it off to her guy. She just wanted to do a little quick one herself.
It's just a Mother's Day post, people.
Right?
What are we doing here?
On weird, awkward British Mother's Day.
Yeah, not American Mother's Day.
Not actual Mother's Day.
We really care about our mothers here.
We do.
We at least have it at a time of the year where it's decent weather.
Yeah. Well, England, the weather always sucks.
Never got good weather over there.
Never.
Yeah.
Lousy schmarch weather all the time.
That is my that was my deep dive of the day though. And I'm here to tell you, if you see anything about Kate Middleton, now you know.
There you go.
Just be like, yeah, that's British.
I feel like Tinfoil Tuesday is becoming a thing.
Yeah, well, look, we can go down some rabbit holes.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll take you down a rabbit hole.
I like getting my hand held and jump down a rabbit hole or two.
Like you see, like we have Garrett Cole gate going on right now.
Yeah, they're worried about his arm falling off.
Well,
it's not toothpaste.
He may have Tommy John surgery.
Tommy arm.
He's got a little. But nobody knows. We just like to speculate. We just love to speculate over here.
Hey, look, I can throw some tinfoil on.
Yeah,
I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah, we need. Now I'm thinking about this. I think it would be better for our political discourse in the United States if we did have a little bit of royalty that we could just prop up there, and just be the big distraction because over the real politics that are going on.
Do you want to talk about some real politics,
dude? This one is wild.
We will get to the real politics update, but first,
oh my god! And it's sports related.
It is.
This is 100% sports related, and it is the most bizarre damn thing.
It is a Mad Lib,
but right on brand.
It's a Mad Lib.
It is right on brand.
But first, here's the Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
That's that Hawaiian burger joint.
Now, Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. First on The Fan, the Trailblazers off tonight after falling to the Celtics last night. Game 5 of the 6-game homestand tomorrow facing the Atlanta Hawks. Portland 18-46 on the season, the 5th worst record in the association. In the NFL, the Ravens signing running back Derrick Henry to a 2-year, $16 million deal worth up to $20 million. The Commanders and Marcus Mariota have agreed to a 1-year, $6 million deal. That one could reach $10 million with incentives. The Seahawks announced they've re-signed defensive lineman Leonard Williams to a 3-year, $21.5 million deal. The Vikings signing former Packers running back Aaron Jones, 1 year, $7 million. Bengals training running back Joe Mixon to the Texans for a 7th rounder. Steelers signing former Ravens linebacker Patrick Queen, 3 years, $41 million. The Colts re-signing Kenny Moore to a 3-year, $30 million deal. That makes him the highest paid nickel in the league. Free agent pass rusher Dante Fowler Jr. planning to sign with the Commanders. The Browns close to a deal to add quarterback Jameis Winston to back up Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. Giants signing former Seahawks quarterback Drew Lock to a 1-year deal worth up to $5 million. The Bears and tight end Gerald Everett, they've agreed to a 2-year deal that could be worth up to $14 million. Diana Rossini of The Athletic reporting the Raiders expected to cut quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo tomorrow. And the Portland Pilots women facing Gonzaga in the WCC tournament final in Las Vegas. 7:50 to go in the 4th stanza. Gonzaga with a 54-53 lead. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Fan Madness, presented by George McCoy and Warren Allen Attorneys at Law. March 21st and 22nd at the Stadium Sports Bar at Alenay. Do the tournament with 1080 The Fan.
I tried. Not in a million years.
Hit me with it.
From Tom Pelissero. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Hold on. Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network,
Yes.
by the way.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has recently approached Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers and Jesse the Body Ventura about serving as his running mate on an independent presidential ticket, and both have welcomed the overtures, per the New York Times.
So we have the NFL Network and the New York Times are feeling comfortable enough to go with this report that both Aaron Rodgers
Current
and
Jets quarterback
Jesse
Aaron
the Body
Rodgers
Ventura are going to
Vice
be on an
president.
independent ticket with Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
I realize this,
And he's open to it.
this is a phrase that gets tossed around way too much these days, but we really are living in the dumbest timeline.
I mean,
We're getting closer. We're getting closer to idiocracy.
Hector
Saying all the-
Camacho
Yep. That's what the plants crave.
is not that far off from current Jets quarterback and vice president of
Well,
the United States.
Remember, Hector Camacho was a professional wrestler who became president in the movie Idiocracy. Jesse the Body Ventura, he was a governor and a
was
wrestler. And he's going to be
On the same line, did you see who else has
my
said that they are
gosh.
interested in possibly running for president sometime?
No.
Steph Curry.
What?
Yes.
I mean, he had...
Would like to use his power and
For
reach
president.
for good. Yes.
As the godfather of Lindsay Lohan's baby,
Wait, he is?
he and Aisha Curry are Lindsay Lohan's baby's
So,
godparents.
Yeah.
Lindsay Lohan's
I'm
baby
not
and
gonna-
Cam Brink?
No. He's got some...
What?
Really? He's
those
Cam
are some-
Brink's godfather?
Those are some godfather ships right there.
Right?
Goodness.
Wow. Let's see here. Steph Curry, godfather. Let's see how many other people. Oh, yeah. Steph Curry, goddaughter. Let's go here. Oh, we got
And 'cause
Cameron Brink pops right up.
And because I think Aisha is in whatever that new movie is with
Lindsay Lohan?
with the Lohan.
Yeah, look at that. Steph Curry and Aisha Curry are Lindsay Lohan's daughter, Louise.
Louise?
They are the godfather. This is something else.
I don't have. Do either of you have godparents? I don't.
Nope.
Dusty?
No.
No?
No.
Do we need to bring this back?
I'm Italian. We got a different godfather.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying I mean you know a guy.
I don't.
Don't piss
yeah,
me off.
No, I don't. Got,
No godparents anywhere.
You know what sucks is that my sister has godparents, and then I was just they're like, yeah, whatever.
How does that work?
If we go, you're on your own.
They were like, yeah,
feral child.
Nothing's helping this one.
Yeah. So my sister's got them, not me.
Is there a procedure or a process?
Yeah,
Is it-
baptism.
well, no, I mean,
That's where it happens.
Is there any legally binding situation here, or is it just? Yeah, no, it's just godparents.
I think it's like a wink and a nod.
Okay.
Because it's an agreement with God, right? That's what you got there with the godparents.
Fair.
So he's got quite the arsenal behind him, though.
What's a more powerful thing in the familial universe, the godparent or the uncle that's not an uncle?
Uncle that's not an uncle.
Right? You just call him uncle.
Yeah, because
But-
he's definitely a wild card. And
Always.
Yeah, usually a great time.
Yeah.
But
Uncle Dave.
that's why I had Uncle Mike. He was great. He was awesome. Actually, I had a lot of uncles that I rolled through my life.
I had
And
Uncle Mike and Uncle Dave.
see, there like real ones or
No, yeah, those are my dad's brothers' names.
No
okay.
kidding. Oh, so actual.
Who's Three Finger Jack? What's his name?
Oh, that was Uncle Spud.
There you go.
There you
Uncle
go.
Spud
Yeah,
is
but not
that's
actually-
the guy we're talking
That-
about.
yeah, that-
Not the actual
We're looking for
familial
more
lineage.
Uncle
Yeah.
Spuds in our
Yeah.
life where
Mine was an Uncle Dave. I didn't have any
Yeah.
blood relatives named Dave.
yeah, Uncle Spud, the type of guy who loses a couple digits closing the drawer to the dryer because he's just not used to it.
Or Uncle Spud is using the potato slicer.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, if you have anybody that has like uncle and they're not an uncle in your life, or like there's somebody who's like you call him Stubby because he's missing some fingers, those are the kind of people you want. You need those people in
But
your
I mean,
life.
like, parents die in a plane crash.
Yeah.
Who takes charge? Uncle Dave or Godfather Steph?
Godfather Steph. Well, I mean, it's Steph Curry. I mean, he's got millions.
I'm just saying,
upon millions of dollars.
He's got the means.
If it's we're taking Steph out of this, I'm just saying, like, we're talking Godfather versus non-familial uncle. Like, which
You go with Steph.
okay,
Yeah. No, you don't. That the Uncle Mike or Uncle Dave or Uncle Spud. they can't be trusted to raise you.
Yeah, I know, but that might make it better.
Well, I know.
Be a fun upbringing.
That's why I don't have the godparents, and I would have gone with Uncle Mike.
Uncle Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, the responsible people. They get my sister.
Fan Man could have been the feral man pretty quickly.
Well, he's hit and miss for a while. It's hit and miss for a while. Some may have said I was, no matter what. So, came out the other side. I mean, I say this to people all the time. I was literally raised in bars and locker rooms. My dad was a bar owner and a football coach.
Yeah,
and I was there
with that in the
all the time.
background, you actually you came out okay.
Yeah.
All things considered,
See,
you're mostly functional.
This is why I go down the road of it's about your parents, not the damn video games you're playing or the music you're listening to. That's just a cop-out from people who don't want a parent. They blame it on other things.
Or they use video games as parenting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my dad's players took me to Silence of the Lambs in Spokane, Washington when I was 8 years old. Which was not a great life choice. That messed me up for a while. But I came through on the other side. Got good parents.
My parents left me with a babysitter who put on Child's Play when it first came out.
See? These are the
Chucky.
things.
Still, those dolls haunt my nightmares.
I'm still not sure you came out on the other side okay. There's several crimes you've committed.
Maybe a little.
That you have
a little more murdery.
You fessed up to on these airwaves.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
We can run it back, play the tape. Jeff Russ has got a blackmail reel going on for Danny Meringue.
Is it blackmail or is it just evidence?
It is lengthy.
It's got its own server.
Why is this on reel to reel?
Yeah, there we go. So we can keep it.
Oh. All right, coming up next, we'll get you ready to hand you over to Isaac and Suk. And
potentially the swaggasm that we're looking for.
Yeah, there's 2 minutes and 40 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Your Portland Pilots, the number 3 seed, up 63-62 on number 1 seeded Gonzaga in the WCC championship game happening currently in Las Vegas. Hopefully we will get a nice little swaggasm we can pass on to you. Coming up next here on Danny and Dusty, 10 to the Fan. We're now under 45 seconds remaining of live clock now as the Portland Pilots take on the number 1 Gonzaga Bulldogs in the WCC Women's Championship game. Up 67-66. And we have a wedgie. Ball stops with 33.7 seconds remaining.
I was like, wait, we got what?
The ball has been wedged between the rim and the
backboard. It is the rim and the backboard. That's alternating possession going to the Pilots.
Going to the Pilots, which means we are on standby, ladies and gentlemen, for a swaggasm.
Jason Swigard is calling this game.
Mm-hmm.
And he does a hell of a job for the University of Portland. We give Swag a lot of hell at this station. He does a lot of stuff around here, and he is a really good play-by-play guy for a UP because he cares about both the men's and women's basketball programs. And so when Swag going dancing, I love Swag going dancing.
Oh, yeah.
Like that man deserves to go dancing. And we have a potential upset brewing that could have big ramifications as like the women's bracket because Portland is a host site.
Indeed.
For the Sweet 16 and Elite Eights. And I mean, the UP could be doing Oregon State a favor if there's a little bit of carnage in the brackets.
And Oregon State might get the bump in here.
Maybe back in Portland, which the current bracketology has USC, Stanford, LSU, and Texas.
All headed to Portland.
All in Portland. That'd be...
Woo, doggy.
That'd be and LSU as well.
Yeah, you said LSU.
I said LSU? Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, that's a great draw.
Iowa moving up took Caitlin Clark out of the bracket, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We do have Swag's call here of the Emmy Shearer 3 that put the Pilots up 67-64.
Give it to us.
Maisie Burnham now will bring it up, hand to Mikkel Meek. Tied at 64, minute 50 left to play. Crowd rising to their feet. Kennedy Dickey flashing to the high post, takes the pass. Hounded by Ejim. Now she loses her for a moment. Finds Emmy Shearer, right corner for 3. Yes! Emmy Shearer for 3, and the Pilots' lead is 3.
Oh! Yes! We need that yes call that's a Swag drop. I can't wait to hear what he says at the end of this game if they hold on. They are currently leading.
They are currently leading by 1 after getting the wedgie. Alternating possession is a jump ball. Alternating possession means it goes back to Gonzaga, and it's timeout yet again.
I just described all the good that could come out of this.
Crippling defeat is also an option.
Sad Swag. I'm not gonna lie; it would be as equally entertaining. But I don't want to hear that.
There are 30.8 seconds remaining, and there's a full 30 seconds. I want
Swag.
Clock.
I want Swag. I need a Swag. I need happy Swag.
We need a Swaggasm.
Yeah, I need happy Swag.
That can't be sad, right?